Welcome to Visionaries Global Media, your number one source for podcasting entertainment. Visionaries Global Media, envisioning excellence on a global scale.
This is Band from Ringside.
Tonight on the Band from Ringside podcast, we recap New Japan's Dominion pay-per-view. AEW comes to Murder City. Sasha Banks may have been released. Jeff Hardy, and Vince McMahon. You know, as somebody who's been following Vince McMahon for a long time, the news that came out about Vince McMahon this week is just shocking. That and a whole bunch more tonight on the Band from Ringside podcast.
I was wondering if you were even going to say the word or not.
That's not my bit.
Right.
Ditch that 9 to 5. It's time to feel alive. Hello, Mark. So welcome to the Band from Ringside podcast. I am Bill Vega, your host, as always, a.k.a. Avon Smarksdale. And sitting to my left, we have Jason Cornelius Bell. What's going on, JCB?
Oh, shit. That was good. Good job, Vice. I'll ask the congregation to now bow their heads as we read from the latest edition of the Band from Ringside podcast, volume 261, chapter 3, verse 14. And the good Smark saith, hashtag boo the heels. It's all good, baby. Listen, share, subscribe, repeat the Holy Trinity of BFR. I keep saying to myself, man, you know, this might be like kind of a down week for wrestling. You know, we just got, Dominion to talk about, maybe Forbidden Door, build. And then all of a sudden, WWE just got to just be like, you know what? Hold my beer.
One of these days we'll have a slow week. We're coming at you. No two beer tonight. He had some work stuff that took him away from the podcast. I know that he is missing this week. He is upset on the text thread that we have. He is lamenting the fact that he can't be here this week. We are coming at you from sweltering St. Charles, Missouri. Is it hot down there in St. Louis, 20 miles to the east of us?
Oh, yeah, it's still hot as motherfucker. It's the second circle of Hades, but yeah, it's hot in the motherfucker. Don't get it twisted.
They say it's in the 90s. It's been in the hundreds. I mean, it feels like 110. Humidity's at like 85% or something like this. There's less humidity underwater. It's fucking hot, people. That's all I'm saying. We have... Like I said, I'm going to let JCB call the first count because I don't know what we want to do. There's so many different ways we can go this week. There is a lot of stuff. Let's just get to that 3 count.
1, 2, 3.
JCB, kick it off.
Oh, man. I really, honestly, I had Dominion set, ready to go until... now, so yeah, let's flip it to WWE.
Just do it.
Fucking goddamn you motherfuckers. Okay, so a couple of major stories coming out from the world of WWE non in-ring related. The first I did see, and obviously both stories are unsubstantiated. It's rumors and a little bit of investigative digging. The first rumor that I want to talk about is the possible release of Sasha Banks. I did see Sasha trending on Twitter late last night into this morning. And, of course, my curiosity is always piqued when, someone is trending, what the fuck do these motherfuckers do now? So, of course, I click on it, and it is a rumor that Sasha Banks has been released by the WWE. So I say to myself, okay, well, first and foremost, Sasha Banks is under contract by WWE, so it would have to take some sort of legal maneuvering in some form or fashion to get her out of said contract. If I'm not mistaken, and I didn't do my due diligence on this, I'm not. I know she re-signed with the WWE. I'm just not sure for how long, so on and so forth. But in order to get out of some contract like this, and knowing Vince, it's pretty ironclad. You're going to have a nice little team of warriors to get out of said contract. So that is the latest rumor. I have not seen anything past the point of her being confirmed, being released. WWE has not come out and denied said rumors, so that to me speaks a whole bunch of volumes as far as I'm concerned. I'll just say it like this. Even the fact of talking about having Sasha Banks being released is a little mind-boggling. To me, if you look back and want to play, Monday night quarterback is usually what we do around here, I think Sasha might have a point. The whole reason that I believe they being Sasha and Naomi left is the lack of a direction going with the women's tag team titles. I think it's compounded more by the fact that in non-WWE, I'll show you fashion, the women's tag team titles have basically been shelved, and there's no real plans for them to come back anytime soon. Usually Vince is like, well, you know what, fuck it. You're saying this, so I'm going to show you differently. Or some sort of, defiant move to show us that, we're wrong in some form or fashion. And that just hasn't happened. So a part of me tends to believe that if the rumor is to be true that Naomi and Sasha had a problem with the creative direction with the women's tag team division, this only adds more credence to it. Thoughts on Sasha Banks?
Well, my first thought was if this were to be true and Sasha Banks were to be released from her contract in WWE, no matter how they would get around to doing it, that would be, of all the shocking releases that we have seen over the past, couple of years, Braun Strowman, Bray Wyatt, Cesaro, even Ember Moon was shocking to some extent. And, these are all various levels of shock. Braun Strowman and Bray being the two where everybody was like, seriously, what the fuck? This would by far this outweighs both of them put together, if you ask me, because not only did she make money selling merch, from what I've read, not only was she booked well, not only
for the most part.
I mean, it's WWE. If you're not Roman Reigns or John Cena, you're going to have some gripes.
No, that's just me being a Sasha Banks fan. But overall, she's booked better than most.
Not only has she main evented a WrestleMania with Bianca Belair 2 years ago on Saturday night, at least one of the nights, but she had crossover appeal. I mean, if they would have kept her on, she's got the look, she's got the charisma to be a crossover star. She's definitely somebody that you could see going on Jimmy Fallon. She did
The Mandalorian or whatever.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, I don't watch it, but I heard that she was on it. I mean, she is a legit star. She's not a wrestling star. She is a star. And if they let this thing get in their way so much that they release her, then they fucked up. WWE fucked up.
What if it's just irreconcilable differences there?
Then WWE fucked up because it's their job to reconcile that shit and pay their talent that's made them a lot of money. It would just be bad business. And it would seem to me that, we talk a lot about Vince maybe losing his fastball. It seems to me that he's just throwing eephus pitches at this point. If he let this get so personal that he lost Sasha Banks, then maybe he should just hang him up. That's what I think. What are you looking at me like that for?
Okay, I think
you think I'm overblowing it?
A little bit, because I think you got to look at it from. Let's just play devil's advocate for 30 seconds. If you're Vince, you can't let the talent dictate terms. Okay, that's basically the worst case scenario you can ask for. Okay, granted, you might not be able to do this tag team women's division, which they just don't have an interest in. There's no investment in. Okay, fair enough. I don't think it's that deep where it's a personal attack. Even though Vince might take, you walking out personally, it's not anything personal against Sasha. It's not anything personal against Vince. This is all business, as far as I'm concerned, the way I'm looking at it. And the fact that there hasn't been any real plan, or there wasn't a plan moving forward, that was the problem. I don't think it's the fact that Sasha's not getting paid. Sasha, I would assume, is getting paid fairly well. Naomi is the one that is more out on the limb than anybody else. contract's getting ready to expire. She was, trying to negotiate a new one. And now she's in this limbo of, what are we going to do with Naomi kind of deal. So I would like to think that it's not a personal thing against Vince. I think this is more business than anything else.
On whose side? On Sasha's side?
On Vince's side.
Well, I mean, here's the thing. Like you said, we're speculating. Like I always say, we're not journalists. I don't believe it.
You don't think there's any truth to this at all?
Maybe there's some negotiations going by. Here's the thing with all these wrestling journalists, and, there's some that I respect. I think that I've said it before, Wade Keller's really good. Meltzer has his ups and downs. I know that Zach's kind of a devotee. Sean Ross Sapp is pretty good. But it seems to me that a lot of these wrestling journalists, and I do the scare quotes on it, a lot of these wrestling journalists, if you're a real journalist, if you're a real journalist and you get a rumor, like, you go substantiate that rumor
Agreed.
Before you go floating it out there. Even if you're fucking Adam Schefter, even if you're Tim Kirchin, if you're a sports writer,
if so-and-so is getting ready to get traded or they ask for a trade, Adam Schefter would go to his sources and be like, hey, Is this true or false?
But these dirt sheet writers, it seems to me that what most of them do is they believe anybody that leaks anything to them, and they think they have these sources. And in today's day and age, because wrestling is such a unique thing and has such a unique place in our popular culture, and there is such a blurred line between reality and kayfabe, that they just take all these rumors, whatever little scoop, whoever they got in there giving them the scoop, they just run with it. We've heard all sorts of scoops all the time about wrestling that never come true. And that's why, frankly, I'm a little reluctant to, spend too much time on this.
I think there's something to it. I honestly think that this might be more than, where there's smoke, there's fire. And I'm not a big fan of that analogy, but there's something to this. Okay, this isn't the first time Vince and Sasha have gone down on the mat and had a little beef about something. Okay?
Right. Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't be surprised if Vince is like, you know what? We got Ronda Rousey. We got Charlotte. Bayley. Look, just for the sake of argument, look at what's coming up. What's the next pay-per-view for WWE that's coming up? Money in the Bank. Okay, so you don't have Roman Reigns. He's going to wrestle Riddle on Friday Night SmackDown, so you don't have the world title on there. Bianca is, I'm assuming, going to she's wrestling Rhea Ripley.
Yeah, that's official.
Okay. Natty and Ronda is official. You got the men's and women's Money in the Bank.
Yeah.
Ronda Rousey's going to be high up on this card in some form or fashion. Mm-hmm. They're going to have to put more weight into Ronda Rousey. Look, I'm not a huge fan of this second run.
I know this is an audio medium, but I'm doing my Ronda Rousey marching down to the ring face. So mad.
It's actually pretty good. They're going to have to hitch their wagon to Ronda Rousey more when Bayley comes back, when Charlotte comes back. More so, emphasis on Becky and Bianca. They're going to just kind of move things around versus, they don't think they're going to miss Sasha, but somewhere down the line, you're going to need a Sasha Banks to get somebody over or have a good match. Bayley is probably the one that's going to miss Sasha the most because that is the connection. One of the best women's matches I've seen in WWE or NXT was Bayley versus Sasha in NXT TakeOver.
Yeah, and Sasha's a great wrestler too. I'm Ronda Rousey. Mr. Carruthers kicked me out of study hall. I'm wearing my leather jacket. My Ronda Rousey impression.
It's really fun. I wish somebody else could see this. It's actually pretty fucking good.
What was the other news coming out of WWE?
Well, then last night, as I'm taking my cigarette break at work, I look up on my Twitter and I see Vince McMahon in some trouble, and I'm like, what the fuck is Vince doing? So of course, he's trending on Twitter. I'm clicking on Twitter, And now I'm seeing the Wall Street Journal is coming out with an investigative report claiming that Vince has non-disclosure agreements with one woman in particular and possibly other women down the line. John Laurinaitis is apparently involved in this latest woman that is being, I guess, the center of the investigative report itself, where Vince, I guess for lack of a better term, gave this woman to John Laurinaitis to have his way with her, which is just... The sad part about it is I could actually see that happening, which is more scary than anything else, but neither here nor there. There might be more to be dug up from this. There was an unsubstantiated rumor with Kevin Dunn and insider trading. That's been kind of retracted at this point. But let's talk about Vince and a possible, I guess, Deshaun Watson possibility on our hands.
You know, you say he gave her to Johnny Ace to have his way with. I mean, it wasn't like there was like a dungeon or anything. I mean, it wasn't like
it's WWE. You
it
never
sounds
know
like there was
what...
well, yeah. I'm not taking anything off the table. Has anybody, when the Me Too movement began, hasn't everybody just been waiting for the shoe to drop on Vince? Come on. I mean, Vince, like...
I'm sure that Vince has been down this road before when it comes to sexual misconduct, quote unquote.
No fucking doubt. You talk about where there's smoke, there's fire. He used to make out with Trish Stratus in front of Linda McMahon while she was catatonic in a wheelchair. I mean, kayfabe style.
Kayfabe style.
But I mean, this doesn't surprise me at all. I'm surprised it took this long. Of course Vince is a piece of shit fucking sexual abuser.
Well, okay.
Of course he is.
This is where
now this is where I'll say where there's smoke, there's fire, because this was reported by the Wall Street Journal,
right?
Not by Ringside News, who's a guy who runs Ringside News, gets drunk and goes on an anti-trans Twitter raid a couple weeks ago. These are Ringside News is the shit that people go to for news about this shit. They're not news organizations. Now the Wall Street Journal is a news organization. And this is was not really an expose, but this is some hard-hitting reporting, and I'll say that there is credence to this. It's not surprising to me, and I don't want to hear people cry for Linda McMahon either. There's no way that Linda McMahon didn't know this was going on. There's no way that this hasn't been... now, here's some real speculation. I don't think they're really in love anymore.
I don't think you're going out much of a limb on that one.
Here, now I'm going to ask you a serious question, though.
Shoot.
Okay, so I'm going to name you three power couples of very rich people, okay?
Okay.
You got Vince and Linda McMahon.
Okay.
You got Bill and Hillary Clinton,
mm-hmm.
okay? And you got Donald and Melania Trump.
Okay.
Okay. Which of those three couples do you think has had sex most recently?
Oof. Fuck. There you go.
I gotta find out.
I'm going with Bill Clinton. Bill Clinton actually has some game.
You think he's had sex with Hillary though? She fucking hates him.
They all hate the other guy.
Yeah, I know.
They all hate their husbands.
I'm gonna say Donald and Melania just because I think that they've got. Well, I still think it's been 10 years or so. But, I think that they've had sex since the other... they've gotten married since the other two couples have had sex. I don't think Bill and Hillary have had sex since, I don't know. But at least since Lewinsky, 99, 2000.
Nah, man. Bill knows what he's doing, man. Shit, he's a little charming individual. He's got a little game. Between the three of them motherfuckers, he's got the most game.
Dude, he's... You know what? I shouldn't have brought this up. They're all pieces of shit, all six of them. Fuck them all. I do not give a shit. Anyway, rest in peace, Vince McMahon.
He's not dead yet.
Do you have any other... He's also not going to give up the WWE. Do you think...
Okay, that was going to be a question I wanted to bring up, is the fact that let's just say this does go down a criminal rabbit hole, and they bring up charges on him. He goes to jail in some form or fashion. He can't be running the WWE legally. This would be more like, let's think like Sopranos or Goodfellas type shit. He'll be running it from the can, but Nick Khan is going to be the guy up front.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's not going to jail. People that rich don't go to jail. It just doesn't happen. Now, it might cost him a shit ton of money. I think that he will fight with everything he has to not give up the WWE just because he's that arrogant. And you have to be that arrogant to become a billionaire the way that he's became a billionaire, which is by leaving a fucking trail of bodies in your wake. And I'm not necessarily talking about dead bodies, but I'm not necessarily talking about dead bodies, though, either.
See, Jimmy Snuka. I guess this is where, somebody that's better in legalese should be on the show to explain the ramifications where, with Vince having controlling interest at WWE, could he be voted out in some form or fashion?
We'd have to have somebody with intimate knowledge of their board of directors. I suppose there could be like some sort of hostile takeover, which I have a small understanding of. I watched Succession and I watched Billions till it became terrible, and I don't know. Like, this is another thing that we're not experts on and we're not journalists. It is kind of fun to speculate about what's going on, and it's certainly fun to clown on these people. And for all the people that are out there that are defending Vince, he does not need your defense.
No.
He does not give a fuck about you.
Probably not.
He
cares about your money.
Maybe. I mean, he doesn't care. You don't have to defend Vince McMahon. You can, if you're, like I said about the Will Smith, Chris Rock thing, if your reaction to any of this is anything but A, support for the victims, or B, L-O frickin' L, then you need to take an inventory of yourself and find out where your priorities are, because you could probably spend your energy elsewhere than defending Vince McMahon or defending Linda McMahon, who was in the cabinet for fucking Donald Trump. Like, what the fuck are we talking about? You don't have to feel bad for any of them. Stephanie, Triple H, you don't have to feel bad for any of them. Feel bad for the kids.
Do you think Stephanie got out while the getting was good?
No doubt.
She did just abruptly kind of just left.
If the Wall Street Journal is going to come out with something like this on Vince McMahon, who is a literal billionaire, who has his tendrils go out a lot of different places. Powerful people have powerful friends, and powerful friends get to make decisions like this. This Wall Street Journal thing is probably a year in the making. And there's not a chance that somebody that didn't know somebody that didn't know somebody else that was the fucking editor of the Wall Street Journal or something like that got in Stephanie's ear and said, listen, it's coming down the pike.
I don't know when, but heads up.
Time to get out. Avoid the shrapnel.
And I wouldn't say the sad part about it is, once again, you have the non-disclosure agreement that is basically the basis of this article, but there might be more behind this.
You know who else had a non-disclosure agreement? Stormy Daniels. She fucking, like, that shit matters a little bit, but it's not like NDAs haven't been broken before in politics, in, whatever, Hollywood. I don't know. I know I sound like an idiot when I talk about legal stuff, but I'm saying that, feel bad for the victims.
Number one.
And number two, sit back and enjoy the show.
I will be very interested to see where this Vince McMahon thing goes. More so than Sasha Banks. I think Sasha will be fine. No matter what happens, if she stays with WWE, it's not like they can bury her. She's got way too much popularity. If she leaves, she could go to Hollywood. She can go to AEW, Stardom, name places. Stardom is kind of weird to me, but she does have Stardom ties. Vince McMahon is the one I want to see, because that's going to be money versus a government, and it's going to be a long, drug-out battle.
Listen, it's a tale as old as time. at least in America, probably everywhere. But when you have an ambitious young person who becomes a powerful old person, they either die before they crumble or they just crumble at the end. Have you guys ever seen Citizen fucking Kane? You guys ever heard of Harvey Weinstein? Do you guys know who Richard Milhouse Nixon is? This kind of shit happens. And to me, it's funny. And I think it's good because it is the universe paying back people that treat people like shit. Now, I love the product that Vince created in a lot of different ways. And speaking of the product that Vince created, I think that that's enough of the... Well, we should talk about one more thing that's a bummer. Jeff Hardy got arrested. Sorry, I know this is your count.
Okay.
Jeff Hardy got a DUI. He blew a .29.
Jesus.
Said he had a couple fireballs.
Double fireball shots.
That shit's only 70 proof. I mean...
No, double fireball shots.
.29 is high, bro. That's high.
Good. Your boy was bagged up. I saw the video.
I didn't watch the video. It felt cruel to me.
I had to see it myself. I'm like, dude, it's the middle. It feels like it's early morning.
Oh, the sun was out?
It was kind of like this. Okay.
So it was dusk or dawn?
And it felt like it was horrible movie, by the way, but goddamn, Selma Hayek. It felt like it was
pretty fucking dope movie, actually.
I'm not big on vampires, but that's another story for another time. It felt like it was either early morning or late afternoon. Either way, it just felt like it was a little, I guess, too early for double fireball shots. I mean, damn, dog, dial it down a little bit. I guess my problem with this is everybody's now like pointing at Tony Khan, like, oh, Tony, you shouldn't have done this. How you going to employ Jeff Hardy? You should have known, blah, blah, blah. Vince deserves the same problem with that, too. Same argument. Vince has brought him back after the TNA nonsense.
Totally. I said the exact same thing when Jim or Jay Uso, whichever one got the
Jimmy.
DUI last time. I call him Jim. But I said the same thing to that hack writer for Deadspin who blocked me, David Bixenspan or whatever. Talk about a fucking hack wrestling writer. He blocked me too because all of a sudden the onus becomes on Tony Khan and Vince McMahon to not employ these grown men and to blame these older men, or the ones with the money, the employers, to blame them for employing this grown man who can make them money, who have gone through fucking rehab or whatever, and the onus becomes on them to punish these grown men.
Right.
Sorry. They've been punished. Like, they're all over TMZ. They're fucking embarrassed. It is not the job of the owners of these promotions to punish or to preemptively punish or to not hire these guys because they get DUIs. I'm sorry, that's just not their job. It is taking the agency away from Jeff Hardy, who's a grown man with problems, no doubt, obviously has big problems, big-time addiction problems, and I'm sympathetic to that. It's not Tony Khan's fault, though.
Yeah.
It's not Vince's fault.
Yeah.
Matt Hardy knows his brother better than anybody.
I want to start with family if we want to point, quote
if you
unquote,
want to point fingers, but I'm sorry, the finger has to get pointed at Jeff Hardy
first before anybody else.
There just has to be some personal responsibility.
Thank you.
You can't blame. You just can't blame it. I think that it's like it drives me crazy. Sorry, these guys are grown men.
So
I wouldn't expect my employer to not hire me because I got a DUI or because I get DUIs, and I wouldn't expect my employer to get blamed if they hired me and then I got another one.
Right.
It's not their fault. It's my fault. I'm 42 years old. I can make my own decision.
Man. Exactly. So I just want to go back to
me and Jeff Hardy almost the same age. It's fucked up. I know. I don't like thinking about it.
Let's jump back to Double or Nothing for 30 seconds because the behavior of Jeff Hardy in that match is of question. Whether he was hurt or now looking back on it, was he under the influence in some form or fashion. He wasn't necessarily a factor in, I would say, at least half of the match, the back half. And then after the match, he immediately jumps into the crowd and runs around and high fives the crowd, kind of a la his goodbye in WWE. Looking back on it, do you think there was a problem then?
Yeah, I mean, I do. I think there was probably a problem when he left the WWE on that house show. I mean, I know that they played it off as him just being like, you know what, I was just fucking sick of it and I felt like leaving. In hindsight, listen, you want to take guys like that at their word when they say stuff like that. You want to believe that at least Matt Hardy would not give his brother the benefit, would be more concerned about his brother's health than trying to make money. And that's, I'm not blaming Matt Hardy in any way either. I don't know what the conversations are like between those two behind the scenes. I'll tell you what, though, I would like to give the Young Bucks some sodium pentothal and have them tell us what happened during that match at Double or Nothing, because you're right, he was basically a non-factor. He either looked hurt or tired, or as a guy who's almost Jeff Hardy's age, hungover.
Right. Something wasn't right.
Something wasn't right. And I know, and if he gets busted at 10 a.m. and he's got a .29 and he was still drinking from the night before, I know from experience, if you go to bed very early in the morning because you went to Pops the night before or something like that, and you wake up at 3 o'clock after going to bed at 9 a.m. or something like that, after drinking all night, you're not good for 2 or 3 days. And doing that as a 44-year-old, you ain't going to be good for a week.
You said Pops. God damn it.
Oh, yeah. I regret to tell you I've spent many a morning walking out of Pops being like, oh, shit, the sun is up?
Get me to my car now.
What the fuck you doing to me? All right,
Who the fuck wanted to go to Pops?
We wish the best for Jeff Hardy. We wish the best for Sasha Banks. I side with the workers on this one. That might be my liberal politics coming into it, but I side with the workers, and I hope for the worst for Vince McMahon. Like, I don't give a fuck. Like, the guy's been a billionaire. The world has been his fucking oyster for years and years and years, and he spent it pumping steroids into independent contractors. So, and fucking sexually assaulting people. So,
I'm glad Owen Hart died.
Anyway, Vince, come on the podcast. Let's get to that 2 count.
Can you imagine if Vince came on this shit? I'd be like, what the fuck are we going to ask Vince?
I'd be like, were you really going to punch Bob Costas? So the 2 count is going to be Dominion. So this is what we would have led with, because it is New Japan's second biggest pay-per-view of the year. And we also did our picks last week, and I would like to read the points from the picks here.
I'm sure you would. That usually means he's done good. Spoiler alert.
So your boy.
The Bill Fakey.
So Juice Robinson dropped out of the triple threat.
Yeah.
Triple threat. Now, I picked Juice Robinson, as did Zach, as did you. But because Juice Robinson wasn't in it, I picked Will Ospreay. Zach picked Will Ospreay. So I'm counting that as a perfect pick. I had perfect picks for Dominion except for Okada. Did not get one wrong. I got 9 points. Your boy Two Beer picked Doc Gallows. Doc Gallows didn't win. Yano did. And a fucking banger. I mean,
come on, man.
That's the way they draw it up.
No, don't sit up here and lie to these people like that.
Zach had 7, so I had 9. Zach had 7. Now, Jason Cornelius Bell, the guy who watches more New Japan and claims it is, quote, his promotion, got 5.
It is my promotion.
You got 5.
Okay, so what?
I'm just saying.
Okay, damn. We all picked Okada. I mean, what the fuck?
I got 9, you got 5. That's
okay, I was not picking Yano. I mean, that just is not going to happen.
You got to pick with your pocketbook, not your heart.
Where's the money?
You don't remember this? You must have been really high. We bet $20 on it last year.
I was about to say, ain't enough weed for me in the world for me not to remember that
You
shit.
should be like, motherfucker, I bought you shots and cigarettes on the way over here.
I was about to say, ain't no way I forget that shit.
All right, so let's go through this. Now, listen, Jason, there is an NBA Finals game tonight,
I know,
so we don't got to make this.
Good. That's why I tried to get it at 7 o'clock. Let's go.
I know, and then we talked too long about the one count. So the United Empire, Akira, TJP, and Hanari defeat Master Wado, Taguchi, and Tenzan. Any thoughts on this?
It's basically a build to, I believe it's either the 20th or the 21st, where TJP and Francisco Akira go for the IWGP Junior Tag Team titles, keeping them hot. No big deal. I'm just hoping long term we see either Akira or TJP stay with the promotion. Probably more so Akira. He's young enough to where he can stay where TJP can float around.
I'm calling an audible on the way I was going to do this. I was going to do this from the bottom of the card to the top of the card, but that's stupid. Let's start at the top of the card because we have a new IWGP champion, which is actually the big news. As much as I like TJP and Akira, the big news is that Jay White is the 5th IWGP champion in the new lineage. He defeats Okada at approximately 37 minutes, I would say. What did you think about the match?
I would be lying, and the fact that I'm going to use the word shocked, considering the fact that I was one of the ones that was saying, hey, Jay White has a chance. Hey, Jay White has a chance. And then when he finally won the match, I was like, oh, shit. And that was my first response at like 4 a.m. on Sunday. I was like, oh, shit, he fucking won. And the reality kind of set in where, and this is, unbeknownst to me at the time, where Okada might have a baby on the way. It's coming soon. I'm just assuming, like we said last week, we're going to pencil Okada into the Forbidden Door, one of the big main events, and do it that way because it's Okada. How you going to have a cross-promotional card without arguably your main talent, your best talent? If you consider Baby on the way as a possibility, okay, fair enough. I have no problem with Jay White winning the title. Truth be told, when I was thinking about it after the fact, this Okada run hasn't been very great. It's been good, kind of bogged down by Naito in some form or fashion, whether it was 2 title matches or 3 matches total. It felt like more about Naito than anything else. I don't have a problem with Jay White winning because it feels like there's more options with Jay White as champion, Okada being back in chase mode. The match itself, I thought was really, really good. It was a classic Jay White Okada Jay White Okada match. But like I said, I would be lying if I said I was not like, oh shit, what the fuck just happened kind of match.
Jay White is the one. It seemed like it was leading towards a Jay White title reign when the pandemic hit. And then the pandemic separated him from Japan for a while. Nobody's fault. Jay White, you could tell that NJPW loves Jay White, thinks very highly of him. He is a tremendous heel. An absolutely great heel.
The promo in the ring after the match and then backstage, scorched earth.
Scorched
Good
earth.
Lord.
Also, he is one of those guys, a lot like my boy Kevin Owens. He's one of those guys that if you can hear him chatting during the match, it really enhances the match. And it might help that they're clap crowds in Japan when it's a Jay White match because you can hear everything that motherfucker says. Now, it might not be very good for Japanese watchers because they don't speak English, but guess what? I do. And I like it a lot. And I like how much he cusses, too. He does not give a fuck, dude.
No fucks given. One of the big things I will take away from the main event is that the crowd did get audible at the end where he was just like, Jay White was not going to accept clapping as the form of acceptance. He wanted to hear noise. Yeah, and then finally the crowd started to, audibly chant or whatever the case may be.
It's like, I told you I love you.
Right.
Say something.
Yeah, you're my family.
Yeah.
Right then I was just like, man, this motherfucker's going for promo of the year.
Say something.
Sit your ass. Say something. It was
awesome.
so good. That, and then when he basically broke down why you should be thanking him for AEW, I was like, wow, this motherfucker connected all the fucking dots.
Tremendous.
I mean, Kenny Omega, the Bucks, Hangman Page.
Next level stuff.
Adam Cole, baby. I was like, by the end, it's like 4:30 in the morning. I'm like, barely awake, and I'm just like, dude, that was so fucking good. And I finally went to sleep. I was like, the whole thing with Jay White, and I was thinking about this on the way over here, is that when he was over in the United States, some fans were running him down. Why is he on Impact? Why is he on Strong? Why is he, now just going to AEW? Now that he's champion, all these promotions are in play. He lost to Chris Sabin a while back. You don't think we're going to get a Chris Sabin Jay White title match? At least we should, because he has a right to have that match.
I want to see him get a run.
Okay, and I think a part of this might be New Japan and or AEW, Impact, whatever the case may be. The fact that he was over here having these matches with the Forbidden Door coming right behind it, I think it's getting ready to open up the back end of 2022 where you're going to have a lot more interpromotional matches, and I think Jay White should get a little credit for that.
I totally agree with that. I'm excited to see. We'll get to the AEW stuff later.
I was going to say, we don't even know what the match is. He's like, fuck both of you motherfuckers. I'm out.
He did, and you record this, okay? We're about, 30 minutes into this podcast. I do not want to see a triple threat match at Forbidden Door between him, Cole, and Adam Page. That is not what I want to see.
I get that, but if Okada can't come over, that's probably your next best option. And at least makes sense. The dots connect.
And the thing that I read about Okada, that's not just him having a kid. It's about him having a kid. Japan locks down Japan a lot of times during the COVID. If it flares up, Japan will lock down the borders and might not let Okada back in. So that I read that he's worried about coming to America and then not being able to go back in.
Shit, stay home. That's an easy decision. Stay home.
And it just saves a big Okada match later on in AEW, which Okada fucking rules. The match right before that was Sonata, who I called the nap.
Oh, dude,
last
stop.
week.
That's horrible.
I know. I felt bad.
No, you didn't. You ain't shit. No, you didn't. Don't sit up here and lie to these people. You did not feel bad.
He had a great match with Will Ospreay. Will Ospreay has great matches, though.
It's hard for it's getting to the point where I don't remember a bad Will Ospreay
We've seen
match.
Sonata have some stinkers. Sonata looked great in this match. Will Ospreay looked great in this match. This was a fun match. The right guy went over.
Right guy goes over, and just for the simple fact that it continues the Will Ospreay storyline of New Japan screws Will Ospreay. In the New Japan Cup, did he tap out? And the Windy City Riot, he wasn't pinned. Now, I'm skipping where it was when Juice Robinson pinned him for the IWGP US title. He's saying that he wasn't pinned. Now he wins the title, and there's no belt. So, every time Will Ospreay looks up from his point of view, New Japan, IWGP is screwing him over, and this is just the latest of him getting fucked. He wins, and he's sitting on the apron. He's just kind of like, this is usually where I would get the belt, and there's no belt because Zeus has the belt. I love this Will Ospreay angle.
He's tremendous. Like I said, this is another good match. Will Ospreay, another great heel who goes over also at Dominion. I liked it when Kevin Kelly was interviewing him after, and at the end, Kevin Kelly says, "You deserve this," and he said in Han Solo fashion, "I know." The match right before that one was another match that exceeded my expectations quite a bit. Now, I don't remember if I said this last week, but I think maybe I did. Carl Anderson, when he wants to turn it on, can turn it on. And he turned it on in this match versus Tama Tonga for the Never Openweight Championship. He defeated him in 16 minutes and 33 seconds. First of all, Tama Tonga, looks great as a singles wrestler.
Yeah,
he's
for
fucking
sure.
awesome. I thought that this was my second favorite match on the card.
Really?
Next to the main event. Yes. What did you think about this?
I'm a little surprised that Tamatanga didn't at least get the first title defense, especially when you had Carl Anderson in the way it's, I shouldn't say obvious storylines, but core 4 for the Bullet Club. Carl Anderson gifted the stun gun to Tamatanga, so then it just felt like it was a nice time for, not even a nice time, the right time for Tamatanga to go over. Gato likes Carl Anderson. I don't have a problem with that. I didn't see the Carl Anderson run where he, was in the G1 final against Okada. So
10 years ago.
Okay, so clearly there is a precedence for him being a singles guy. The fact that I didn't see it and I want Tamatanga to go over and have a nice singles run kind of made me a little upset just on the fan perspective. The match I thought was really good up until the end where they were kind of trying to trade stun guns. I didn't necessarily like that, but
I was just going to say the ending sequence where they were each trying to get the gun stun on each other and they couldn't do it. I loved that sequence.
Really?
Yeah,
Okay.
I was into it. I could see where it might have seemed a little gimmicky.
It just felt like they were, if they saved that more towards the end and not teased it up until that point, maybe I can give you that.
That was the story of the match, though.
Yeah,
who
for sure.
could get the gun
stun on the other.
Let me ask you this. So we just went through the top 3 matches. All 3 winners were heels. All 3 winners Gaijin. Do you think that the decision to put those 3 non-Japanese wrestlers, those 3 white wrestlers, over going into Forbidden Door, do you think that played into it, that they want to play to an American audience? They want to have these 3 white guys walk in as their top 3 singles champions? I mean, I didn't think about it till right now when I was looking at it, but I'm
Right.
like, those are 3 heels and those are 3
Right.
white guys.
Jay White, I think it's either or. Okada could be champion, and I think you could have
And that had extenuating circumstances.
but I don't think you lose anything with Jay White coming over and being the IWGP champion and facing whomever.
You lose Okada,
It's not
who is
look,
cool. I
look.
mean, he's just the coolest motherfucker out there.
Okay, like I said, arguably the best on the planet. I get that. But if I had to lose Okada, Jay White is not a bad replacement.
No doubt.
Okay? With Sonata and Will Ospreay, to me, this is pretty easy. Okay? As much as I love Sonata, I don't think you can bring him over to Forbidden Door and have, as the rumor is, well, it's not even a rumor, it's a confirmed match, have him and Orange Cassidy wrestle for the U.S. title and have that be
I got thoughts about that.
a good match. I think the better match is probably Will Ospreay versus Orange Cassidy. If it stands, we don't know that just yet. Carl Anderson,
He is known to American audiences.
yeah, he's part of the Good Brothers, Impact, the whole 9 yards. There's no guarantee that he does a singles, never open weight championship match at Forbidden Door, but I expect him to be there. To me, it's more so about Will Ospreay mostly, Jay White second, Carl Anderson third. But I would be remiss if I didn't say that it probably is something that you just threw out there. There's something to it.
Shingo Takagi defeats Taichi for the KOPW championship in using the same stipulation that they used a couple months ago, where it's a timed match with the amount of referee counts. We talked about this when it happened. It's kind of hard to explain.
No, actually, I think I can explain it. At least it made sense to me.
It's interesting.
It made sense to me in this scenario.
It's not that. It's
like a Stardom high speed match. You had 10 minutes and basically the most pinfalls, or not even pinfalls, but the most pin counts.
So to
won the match.
Explain to explain this New Japan match, a promotion that probably a lot of our listeners don't listen to very often. You decide to explain it using a Stardom analogy, which is a promotion that even less of our listeners listens to.
Well,
or watch.
Hey, look, I said the way I can explain it best to me is the way That's the way I took it.
I think the best way for me to explain is that if somebody hits their finisher and in the middle of the match and pins their guy, they pin their guy not just for 3. They pin him as long as they can to get – you can get 5 or 6 counts out of one.
Yeah, for sure.
The victory here was just 11-9, I think.
11-10.
11-10. It's a fun idea for a match. I don't necessarily want to see Taichi and Shingo have this match. I would rather see a couple young lions have this match, or maybe like Hanari versus.
Honestly, this is what I thought about.
I don't want to see Shingo have this match, basically.
This is what I thought
and
about.
And I love Taichi.
And I like both, too. This is where the Intercontinental Championship is missed. Okay, this is where I wasn't sure if I was really on board with the unification of the titles. I was okay with it. Now I'm not. This is where you're missing, especially if you don't have the U.S. title over here in play. The Neverweight title is always dicey. You know what I'm saying? Tama Tonga just coughed it up. This is where I think you finally, at least for me personally as a New Japan fan, this is where I miss the Intercontinental Championship.
We had Tanahashi versus Goto to qualify for the AEW interim title match at Forbidden Door against Jon Moxley. The outcome of this was never in question. All 3 of your friends here on the Band from Ringside podcast, everybody picked Tanahashi. I'll admit, I knew who won this before I watched Dominion today. I knew who won everything. I tried not to, and then
it's almost impossible.
Yeah, I looked at Friends of BFR, and like even last night when I was talking to Steve, because Steve was at Dynamite, he texted me something from there. I was like, I'm not watching it right now. I have to watch it tomorrow. He's like, well, I'll stop posting on Friends of BFR. And I was like, no, dude. I was like, post away. I was like,
for sure.
I'm going to watch it anyway. And yes, it's more fun to be surprised, but it's also not something that I have not conditioned my life to be able to avoid shit like this. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, it just doesn't happen. So please post away. But I didn't even watch this match. I know you did.
No, I was going to say, I don't think it was a must-see kind of a match. It was basically what we thought it was going to be. Goto with a good performance. Tanahashi wins with a high-fly flow. If it went more than like 15 minutes, I'd have been surprised. The whole card kind of went kind of quick, considering the lateness of the hour. But once again, it would have been impossible for having Hirooki Goto to come over and face Jon Moxley. That's not what people want to see. We want to see Tanahashi versus Moxley. It's been a 3-year build. Let's get it on, and let's see who wins the AEW Interim Championship.
We also have new titles that were
champions.
New champions, I should say. Heel on heel. So, but this is another heel win. Jeff Cobb and Great O'Connor, as I like to call them, Con on the Cobb. They defeat Chase Owens and Bad Luck Fale. Like I said, I did not make that up. I don't want anybody to yell at me for taking credit for something that's not mine. That's something that I saw. I think that's really good.
Very good.
Really good. They defeat Chase Owens and Bad Luck Fale to become the IWGP Heavyweight Tag Team Champs at 10 minutes and 54 seconds. About the match that you wanted to be, Chase Owens is a good worker. Bad Luck Fale is not. Great O'Con's pretty cool. Jeff Cobb he's the diamond in this match. Jeff Cobb fucking rules. What you think about this?
I think it was the makeup for the Bullet Club story in Fudoka, where Bullet Club basically ran the ruse. Jay White comes back and attacks Okada to set up the Dominion match. I think this is just a scenario where they gave. In a triple threat match, it was easy to take the titles off the champions when the champions didn't get pinned. So now you can bring them back, and then now have them be champions going into Forbidden Door. It is what it is. I wouldn't have done it this way, but the right team are now champions again going into the Forbidden Door segment.
House of Torture, Evil, Takahashi, and Sho defeats Sabre Jr., Desperado, and Kanemaru. Sabre Jr., I think, just deserves a bigger slot on this card, but he was kind of buried in this match in which the House of Torture won. This is also something that you, me, and Zach all picked. Any thoughts on this?
To me, the thoughts were backstage. ZSJ cutting a backstage promo calling out Bryan Danielson for Forbidden Door. I don't even give a fuck about the match. The match itself is what it is. House of Torture is either you like him or you don't. To me, the backstage promo was the story where he calls out Bryan Danielson for Forbidden Door.
I put on Friends of BFR. This is the match that I need at Forbidden Door. This is the only one I need. You can match up other people against other people, and Forbidden Door is a pay-per-view that I am very much looking forward to. It's very much...
Shout out to High Five Time.
It's very much made for me and for you and for Zach and for High Five Tom and for, the rest of us dorks. This is the match that I need, though. Sabre Jr. versus Danielson is the match that I am looking forward to the most. Please, God, give them at least 15 minutes.
I think they get 15 minutes for sure.
Please, God. Well...
You can't have two technical wrestlers in a match in less than 15 minutes. Is what I think.
We'll get into this in the AEW portion of the show, but the build for Forbidden Door is scaring me a little bit about the Forbidden Door pay-per-view. Bullet Club, Ishimori, El Phantasmo, and Ace Austin defeated LIJ, Naito, Bushi, and Hiromu Takahashi. Lots of fucking talent in this fucking match that only lasted 8 minutes and 4 seconds.
Bushi eats the pin, no surprise. I think this is kind of more not even reintroducing, but introducing Ace Austin as part of Bullet Club. It sets up ELP for the G1 announcement, for him being in the G1 as a junior. That's something to discuss at a later point. It is what it is. It was the second match of the card.
Fuck, I forgot we have to talk about G1 announcements. Go ahead.
Not a huge deal. It was A, good to see Naito back and wrestling. B, Takahashi and Ishimori as a preview match for the IWGP Junior Heavyweight title. And then third, like I said, for me, it was more about setting up Forbidden Door, other things down the line. It wasn't even a big deal as far as I'm concerned. Like I said, to me, just seeing my boy back is the number one thing I took away from that.
Overall thoughts about Dominion?
I hate to use the word breezy when it comes to a 4-hour show, but it was fairly breezy. Early matches were quick. The matches that needed to get time got their time. Jay White was, like I said, I hate to use the word surprise, but I was surprised. I would be lying if I said I wasn't surprised. And moving forward, I'm looking forward to G1 and Forbidden Door, not necessarily in that order.
Yeah, it was a great pay-per-view, completely worth your time, I loved watching it. I'm so happy when there's New Japan stuff that matters, because New Japan stuff that matters is pretty much the best stuff that there is, except for maybe AEW pay-per-views. And that's going to do it for our... Nah, just kidding.
Cold-blooded.
We didn't talk about Yano versus Doc Gallows, you motherfucker. I was fucking playing tricks with you.
I was hoping we was going to get past that.
No, we're not going to skip it. Yano defeats Luke Gallows in 4 minutes and 10 seconds. With a low blow, he pulls the ref over, gets the pin, runs up the ramp. What a victory. Gallows was pissed. Jason, what do you think about this? Would you give it 4.75? 5 stars or more than 5 stars?
How long did you say the match was?
4 minutes and 10 seconds.
I give it less stars than that.
You motherfucker.
Get the fuck out of here.
Yano's entrance took longer than 4 minutes and 10 seconds.
I'm like, dude, come on. We get it. We get it. Okay? He's won everything under KOPW's son.
They took the belt off of him. Give him some time. It was fun. What do you think? I mean, it's finally time that they gave a Japanese-speaking wrestler a win over a guy. Yeah, I watched. I had fun.
It is what
I
it is.
had fun.
It is what it is.
Now, what do you think about Doc Gallows losing to Yano and then Carl Anderson? Beating what's his name for the Tama Tonga for the Never Openweight Championship. It shows who they think is the real star.
I wouldn't even go that far. Like I said, I didn't watch, when Doc Gallows and Carl Anderson were coming up, and you had Prince Devitt as the leader of the Bullet Club. I didn't watch that, so I think there is maybe a limited ceiling when it comes to Doc Gallows. Maybe the Neverweight Open Championship is his ceiling. They're for the tag team championships, and that's fine. I'm just waiting my time for that because they wanted to come over and have another IWGP tag team title run. You can do that with float them over to Impact, ROH. There's plenty of things to do.
You thought we were getting out of here without talking about Yano.
God, I was hoping.
Nope, that ain't the way it works. You know, you never know how hot it is out here. I almost forgot how hot it was out here until I just went inside to take a piss and
Right.
grab a beer and I came back. I was like, holy fucking shit, it is so fucking...
It's
I got a
probably,
fan blowing on us. You know, when it was cold out here,
I was just getting ready to bring that up.
and I was like, this is fine for me. I'm from a cold weather people. I was like, your people are from Africa. I was like, you'll like it when it's hot. Is this okay with you?
Dude, this is easy peasy, lemon squeezy.
You're wearing pants and shoes, dude. I got no shirt on. I got no underwear on. I got no shoes
glistening.
on. You look radiant.
Let's silly as hell.
Let's get to that 3 count.
1, 2, 3.
Ebony and Ivory. So the 3 count is AEW Dynamite was in St. Louis last night. Neither of your humble correspondents were able to make it. Jason had to work. I was home with the kid. I didn't watch it. Friends of the show were there, you know.
Yes, good shit. I thought St. Louis did really well for
it was a
our
great
first
crowd.
show. Yeah, I thought it was hot when it needed to be. I thought
Steve was there. Mark O was there.
Nice.
Patriot Pat was there, I
Was he?
believe. Or he was watching it. I mean, he saw stuff. Either way, it was a great crowd. We represented ourselves well.
I thought the house
proud
looked full. Yeah,
of the gateway to the West, or as I called it at the beginning, Murder City. You guys might not know that is an actual
the murder capital of the world. Thank you very much.
I read the history of it. It's been Murder City, like that's been a nickname since like the late 1800s or something. Yeah, it's not Murder City because of what goes on here now, which is lots and lots of murders. Apparently, it's probably the fucking heat, to be honest.
Yeah, right. That plus the fact it was just kind of trying to be smart aleck for 30 seconds. It was so far to the west. You had to kind of, if you wanted to venture over into the west to go get gold or whatever, you had to come through St. Louis in some form or fashion. So I mean, I'm sure there was a fair share of dirt being done in the 1800s when you're saying it was Murder City.
That's true. That's true. It's also the gateway to the West. I mean, we have the arch. But anyway.
Kick it off, nigga.
It was a fun show. It started off with a fun match. That was Y2J, Chris Jericho versus Ortiz in a hair versus hair match. Now, listen, I love hair versus hair matches. Chris Jericho goes over with some shenanigans. Ortiz, not seeming to care about his hair getting cut off, kind of ruins the stipulation, but that's neither here nor there. Jericho's wins. There was a great near fall where Kingston came in and hit the
spinning back fist.
The spinning back fist, and the crowd really ate it up. And it was the curtain jerker, and the crowd fucking loved it. And Jericho kicked out of it. Then we have a guy in a Fuego del Sol mask come out and hit Ortiz. Jericho gets the pin. Fuego del Sol rips off his mask. Turns out it's not Fuego del Sol. It is Sammy Guevara, who is back in the Jericho Appreciation Society, back with Chris Jericho. What do you think about it?
This is where I wish Zach was here so I could rub some of my I told you so in his face. Ultimately, no.
Pretend he's here.
Number one.
Talk to me like I'm him.
Number one, is it a surprise that Jericho won? Not at all. If you stop and think about it, just on the AEW aspect of things, you have the first world champion versus Ortiz in a hair versus hair match. Who do you think is going to win? Okay. I like Ortiz. I like Santana. There's no way either or is going to win a hair versus hair match over the first world champion in AEW. Now, from that point...
Even more than that, there was no way I could ever see Jericho cutting his hair.
Okay.
Shaving his head.
Thank you.
That's one look he's never had, though.
I'm just right. I'm just
it
going
is one
on,
look he's never had.
Right. I'm just going on kayfabe alone. This is where, when you made the match, and I kind of poo-pooed it last week, and Zach was like, well, you know, I like this. I like this. To me, you knew where this was going to go, and it's more reinforcement of what I've said before about Santana and Ortiz. I'm not going to bog down on that. I thought the match itself was good. The spinning back fist, to me, was like cool, but I know this is not the end.
Oh, it popped.
It popped the crowd.
It popped me. I thought it was over.
No. I was just like, okay, come on, Jericho. 1, 2, kick out before 3.
Well, you're pretty savvy. Savvy enough to get 5 points on the Dominion prediction.
This is AEW.
Listen, talking about our good friend Zach Pullman, Two Beer Zach Pullman, who has been on this podcast for a long time.
Before I got here.
God forbid he passes before I do, but if he does, I'm going to make sure it says on his gravestone, I liked his stuff. The dude just likes stuff. That's a good characteristic to have.
Zach does like a lot of stuff. God bless
he
him.
likes stuff, and he's positive about stuff, and he was positive about this match. I wasn't. It was a good match, though. The crowd helped immensely.
That's sweet. For the fact that, for me, it was a predictable finish. The crowd was invested into it.
They were.
And ultimately, that has more to do with them. God bless them for it. I love the fact that they're invested into it versus me being cynical about it and be like, okay, let's just get to the finish so we can move on. I didn't know when Fuego del Sol, quote unquote, came in and hit Ortiz with the bat. I'm like, okay, that makes no sense.
Did you notice? Because the synopsis that I read after I had seen it, because it didn't even strike me that that's not Fuego del Sol. I was like, well, that's fucking weird. But, I mean, this is a guy that they signed, and maybe they want to give a little rub to.
That's what I was thinking, too. And I was like, but it was like, still doesn't make sense.
I read the synopsis by this ProWrestling.net every week after I watch it just to see, because he watches it a lot more closely than I do. He said, you could tell by the body type it wasn't Fuego del Sol. It's like, well, I would have never been able to tell that.
In hindsight, he's probably right, but I was so caught up in why is Fuego. I was thinking about the why versus the who.
Right.
Okay.
Which makes it good wrestling.
No, it was. And then when he unmasked it with Sammy Guevara, I'm like, okay, well then this makes sense because now Sammy can't go after the TNT title, not ready for the world title. He's in that weird limbo of what do you do with Sammy and Ty Conte. This makes perfect sense. He's a heel. He has ties with Chris Jericho. Jericho appreciates society.
I just think that this is my only problem with it. Like, it makes sense. Well, it makes sense for a couple reasons because if the Jericho Appreciation Society is not working as well as maybe they think it should be because it's Jericho with a bunch of people that are less cool than the Inner Circle, then you got to bring Sammy Guevara back in because the guys that I don't like, 2.0, it's like they're not really moving the needle for Jericho, are they? Sammy Guevara moves the needle a little bit. The thing that bothers me a little bit, it doesn't bother me, it's just kind of disappointing, is that I think that Sammy Guevara could be a huge baby face, but he got too horny. He got super horny with Ty Conti. He had to fucking post some weird-ass fucking Instagram shit where he's like, I don't think he was doing that for heat or anything. I think he's young. I think he's got a hot girlfriend or wife. I don't know. Are they married?
Engaged.
He's got a hot girlfriend, and people turned on him because, hey, man, just keep your hot girlfriend to yourself, man. I don't want to see that shit. And now he's got to be a heel again. I think that he will be a huge babyface sometime. It just sucks to see him back in the same place that he was for the first 2.5 years of AEW.
What do you always tell me about? And I will give you credit for this because this is your theory, and
I love this.
And I think it's.
I don't know what you're going to say, but I love getting credit.
It makes so much it makes so much sense. You can't be a great baby face until you have a great heel run.
Yes.
Sammy Guevara has not had his great heel run yet.
Yeah, well, I mean, Inner Circle had a great heel run.
Sammy Guevara didn't.
Sammy Guevara was the number 2 in Inner Circle.
You're missing my point. Sammy Guevara didn't have that heel run. Chris Jericho was the spearhead of it. Sammy Guevara was his, number 2 guy or whatever.
Right.
Let's just say for shits and giggles, if Sammy Guevara took over the Inner Circle or takes over the JAS, now he's the number 1 guy. Now if he can take that group, whether it would be the JAS in this scenario or, in my pretend scenario, the Inner Circle, if he took that to the next level, now I would be more apt to give him credit versus Jericho.
Fair enough. Let me ask you this. Does Chris Jericho need to take a break?
The only reason I'm going to say no is, well, you got to say...
When's the last time he took more than 2 weeks off of television for
It was probably
AEW?
because it was right around when he got hurt with the elbow, and they were going to do like a tour. It was right around when Fozzy was going to take a tour, and it was like they wrote him off on storyline purposes.
Was it more than 2 weeks?
It was like probably a couple months. It felt like we see Jericho a lot now, and that's probably why we can't remember.
He's never not been an integral part of Dynamite. And it's kind of like, hey, dude, you can let go for a little while. Like the place can run without you. You know, I'm not saying he's replaceable. I'm saying that he doesn't need to suck up so much oxygen on every single Dynamite. I know he's a huge star.
I'll say this, and we can move on if you want to.
Thank you. We'll move on when I say we move on.
I know.
We can move on after this.
JAS, whether you like them or not, I think they're the top heel faction in AEW. Just for the fact they get their time, their storylines are flushed out, so on and so forth. You might have bigger names with the Undisputed Elite, Red Dragon, yada, yada, yada. I think that's a part of the reason why you see so much of Jericho is because right now, when you don't have Kenny Omega, you don't have Adam Cole, baby, healthy, ready to wrestle.
Well, you missed the biggest heel on AEW, who's been missing for a couple weeks, which is MJF.
Yeah.
Now
we're going to talk about him because this stole my thunder. Go ahead.
The next segment was Wardlow fights the Plaintiffs. That made me think that the Plaintiffs would be a good name for a tag team, but that's not who they were talking about. Wardlow fights 20 guys who are under their legal counsel is Smart Mark Sterling.
Class action suit.
Wardlow destroys them all, beats 20 guys in a row. Then they bring out Matt Hughes and Tyrone Woodley, who are, I guess, they're both from the area.
Tyron is. Matt Hughes is like from Granite City.
It's Tyron?
I apologize. Mr. Woodley is from St. Louis.
No, I'm asking. Is it Tyron or Tyrone?
Tyron.
Oh,
Tyron Woodley, I believe is how it's pronounced.
Matt Hughes is from Granite City?
I believe he's from Granite City.
No wonder Steve loves him so much. So that's for you, Steve. I can't wait to get a text exactly when Steve listens to this part.
In Patterson's defense, Matt Hughes was a bad motherfucker.
He was. I guess he had gotten a train accident. He did not look steady, and that sucks. Like, why'd they do that to him? This was a bad segment. This is a bad segment
Agreed.
for a couple reasons.
Agreed.
And it's not Matt Hughes' fault. It's not Tyron Woodley's fault.
Nope.
This is a bad segment because they are going back to the well on Wardlow instead of moving him forward into something new. Now, Dan Lambert came around and Scorpio Sky came around and they were talking a bunch of shit. This was the worst segment of the week. First of all,
Wait, stop. Worst segment of the wrestling week or worst segment of AEW?
Well, it's hard to say. I didn't watch all of Raw. I only watched the important parts of Raw, which was none of Raw. I mean, I did watch a couple parts of Raw, I guess. But no, I think I only watched the very first segment of Raw. Yeah, no, I watched the Seth Rollins sit down. It was the worst segment. Fine, worst segment. It was the worst segment that I watched. How about that?
Okay, fair enough.
Because Wardlow has got to get in some kind of. He can't just go around beating guys' asses anymore. You have to get in a feud now. You defeated your big bad. You defeated the guy at the end of the level. That was MJF. Now you have to go on to the next thing. You can't just go around beating up jobbers, even if it's 20, because the crowd was dead for this. And
It's what they should have been.
I totally agree, and I don't think that's Wardlow's fault.
No.
And I don't think it's because they were so hyped for the first match either, because crowds can go. Good crowds can go for an hour, and then they need a popcorn match, you know?
Right, for sure.
But the first 40 minutes of a hot Dynamite or hot Raw or hot pay-per-view, the crowd shouldn't be dead like that, and they're dead like that because it was a
Nobody
poorly.
cares.
It was anachronistic. It shouldn't have happened. It could have happened 4 weeks ago, 5 weeks ago. They could have done this on the build to MJF.
This seems very anticlimactic.
Yeah, it's like we know what's going to happen. We don't want to see Wardlow beat up a bunch of jobbers anymore. We want to see Wardlow fight Scorpio Sky. We want to see him fight
whomever.
There's
not 20
there's
guys that
so
we don't
many
know.
people on the roster that he could fight, but this fell short.
I think it's, to me, the two biggest problems is, number one, MJF not being around, where you still, even if, they're going to move away from MJF and Wardlow or not, the fact that his specter, his shadow isn't there, kind of took away at least, some of it, where, we don't know where he's going, and the TNT title doesn't feel like it's big enough for him at this point. He defeated MJF, so at this point, it's kind of like you said. It's like Mortal Kombat or Street Fighter or whatever. You level up. So he should be leveling up towards the world title. My second point is where the rankings come in, and that's where I think part of the problem is he was ranked number 1 after Double or Nothing, and then CM Punk gets hurt. You have to replace CM Punk, and then you have to figure out who's going to be the AEW representative. Moxley makes a ton of sense. I get it. But if you got Wardlow as the number 1 ranked guy, it's going to be kind of hard to explain to the AEW fan base how you're going to put the number 1 guy aside and move Moxley up.
Did this count as 20 wins for him? They said he was the number 2 ranked guy. I'll tell you what.
I can give two shits.
Shivani and Ross and Excalibur were doing their damnedest to put this segment over. This segment was a dud.
You can't, because you literally watched him vanquish his greatest opponent up to date in MJF. Now you're going to come back with that?
Right.
Come on.
Now you have to put him in peril again.
Right. You have to.
He's a babyface monster. You have to put him in peril. Maybe they have those 20 guys beat him. I don't know. I'm not the booker.
Look, you could book better than this, number 1. Number 2, if you get Scorpio Sky and Wardlow, you would expect Wardlow to win. He just beat 20 guys, whether they're jobbers or not. He beat 20 guys.
Yes.
You can't have Scorpio Sky.
Yeah, he was stacking 6 dudes on top of each other.
Come on, man. and now all of a sudden, Scorpio Sky's going to come up and beat Wardlow, man. It was poorly done. The MJF is sorely missed, at least in this scenario. Even if you thought you were going to move away from MJF, he could be pulling shit from behind the strings or whatever, or behind the scenes.
This MJF shit is it's a work. Everybody knows it now. They've pulled him off of. They pulled his merch off. They pulled him off of the active roster list. It's a work now. I totally get that. They could have just pulled him off of TV because Wardlow beat him, and the effect would be better.
Yeah.
For Wardlow, at least.
Because now you
and then have him come back.
In some.
I think I said the exact same thing last week, and I'm sorry.
No, you might have, you might not have. I totally agree. We get
fucked up.
If MJF doesn't come out the night after and doesn't show any effect, then what's the point of having him take the 10 power bombs?
Right.
He should have never been on TV. The promo was great, but he should have never been on TV.
Yeah, and Wardlow was looking at the crowd, being like, "I'm going to powerbomb this motherfucker," and the crowd was just like, "Okay,
do it."
We've seen it all.
It's Russell Crowe Gladiator at a certain point. You know how bad he is. It's just like now he's just chopping motherfuckers' heads off for the thrill of it.
Now I do want to talk about a match next that I liked a whole lot, which was Dax Harwood versus Will Ospreay in a singles match. This match ruled. This is the second Ospreay match. I mean, Ospreay. Just flying back and forth, but the guy can just absolutely go. This was tremendous. The right guy went over in Ospreay. It turned into a schmoz afterwards, which we'll get to in a minute.
Okay.
But what you think about Dax versus Ospreay?
I said it on Twitter last night, and I'm going to double down on it today. at some point, Dax Harwood is not going. I'm not going to say he's going to be the AEW champion, but he's going to be a singles champion at some point. He's that damn good.
He's awesome.
And the fact that he held his own more so than his own with Will Ospreay only reinforces with that. I thought the match itself was good. The Will Ospreay getting his first singles win kind of takes away from everybody's like, he shouldn't have lost last week. He didn't lose. He was part of the losing team. Kyle Fletcher ate the pin. He was just a part of that losing team in that 6-man tag on Rampage. To me, that's neither here nor there. I don't get two shits about that. This match itself, I had high expectations coming into it, and I thought Dax Harwood kind of stole the show a little bit. Will Ospreay, I know what he can do. Dax Harwood stepped up his game to the Will Ospreay level to where now I was like, okay, yeah, if it was the Never Openweight Championship, Carl Anderson versus Dax Harwood, I could totally see Dax Harwood taking Carl Anderson out in that scenario. So, yeah, to me, the match was good, but it was more so about Dax Harwood than anything else.
Can't add anything to that. That's pretty much exactly what I thought. I thought that Dax Harwood, even though he's considered a tag team specialist,
he's the Bret Hart to
Jim the Anvil,
to Cash Wheeler's Jim the Anvil.
Okay. Then this segment got really bogged down. I'm sorry. No, not this segment. Sorry. Never mind. Dash. Hold on. Don't tell me. Dax Harwood and Dash Wheeler.
Cash
Wheeler. Wasn't one of them Dash?
NXT.
Was Cash Dash?
Cash was Dash. Sounds right. Feels right.
Okay. And then
you don't even know. And then you roll your eyes. You don't know.
Then the best friends. Oh, I'm not a Rousey. I come down here. I'm so pissed off. They took me out of lunch. Put me in the principal's office. I'm Ronda Rousey. Then United Empire came out first. United Empire comes out. Best friends come out. Got pretty schmozzy. Next segment we have Moxley, Tanahashi, who doesn't speak very good English, came out to a big pop. The crowd was receptive to him. Nice job, St. Louis.
Thank you.
Moxley, who I think we were having this conversation a couple weeks ago about like the best promos, and I mean, I said that Moxley might be one of the best. Somebody fought back. Maybe. No, you didn't. It wasn't you, was it? I don't think. It doesn't seem like Zach would either. Maybe I'm making stuff up. Maybe it was a dream I had. Anyway, Moxley cuts this.
I don't think he's the best. I think he's one of the. If you had a guy enough,
he's tremendous.
Guys.
He's tremendous.
Yeah.
Tremendous.
And he had to carry this segment in particular.
And he did not waver at all. This was a great segment carried by Moxley, basically cutting a promo in Tanahashi's face, being like, I've been chasing you down for 3 years. I fought Kenta unstrong in an empty room.
Yeah.
He said,
and that match was so good. Go ahead.
Yeah, that match was good at the height of the pandemic when there were no crowds.
Yes.
That match is really good. It would have been unbelievable in front of a crowd.
Yeah.
Moxley cuts this tremendous promo on Tanahashi, respecting the shit out of him, saying that, you're the only ace, but when
after Forbidden Door,
you're going to be calling me the ace. Now, I take a little exception to that.
I was like, oh, shit.
There is another ace. There is another ace in the business, and, he got, given some slave girl by Vince McMahon. But should I cut that? Should I cut that
out? Okay, you gave me shit for saying out. He had his way with her, but yeah, go ahead.
Listen, I'm saying power to the victims. I can also make the joke about Johnny Ace being better than Tanahashi, which is a joke.
A huge joke.
Even though he did create the stunner.
Crazy talk.
Moxley cuts this great promo on Tanahashi. Jericho comes out with Ty Conti and Sammy Guevara. Suzuki-gun come out. This segment had way too much stuff in it. Way too much stuff. Jericho had to introduce like 4 other wrestlers. He introduced Desperado. He introduced couple other guys. He introduced one guy whose name I've never heard of that the crowd popped for, and I feel like I know some Japanese shit, and I had never heard of this guy. No. So it's going to be a multi-man match. This is the part that I don't want to happen at Forbidden Door. I don't want a bunch of multi-man matches. I don't want a bunch of multi-man matches in New Japan pay-per-views, basically. I want to see some one-on-ones, maybe some tag teams. I do not want to see a 4-on-4 with Suzuki, Minoru Suzuki, Chris Jericho, Sammy Guevara, and whoever else and Desperado versus 4 other guys. That's just not what I'm here for.
That's the New Japan formula.
It is.
In this scenario, so this feels like this is New Japan booking to me. I will agree, especially coming off of the Moxley Tanahashi segment where you had a bunch of guys running in. Just for a guy that knows the New Japan guys, Desperado, when he came out, was like, oh shit, Lance Archer, even if you don't know New Japan, you should know Lance Archer as an AEW fan. Still, once again, oh shit. And then you had basically the JS, running, just interference everywhere. The case, no matter. For me, I got the segment. I guess where, once again, there's people that like AEW that never seen New Japan, it's a quick way to introduce Desperado. You know who Minoru Suzuki is. You know who Lance Archer is. Wheeler Yuta, everybody knows who he is. Shota Umino is the guy that Jericho called out, and the crowd got a big pop. Okay,
I don't know who that is.
You know who he is. He's Shooter. He was the guy in the G1, or the only G1 that Moxley was in. He was the Japanese young boy that was helping him around, and he ends up becoming trust me.
Okay.
You know him if you saw him. And it's one of the few things about the Moxley G1 that's really funny besides him losing the Yano.
I'm saying if I watched the last 4 G1s and I watched this year's Best of the Super Juniors.
He was at Windy City Riot. He had the open challenge against Jay White.
What I'm saying is, if me I wouldn't even call myself a casual New Japan fan. I would call myself a New Japan fan. I watch all the big ones. I watch the tournaments. I don't watch a lot of undercard stuff because I only have so much time. But if they're calling out somebody that I have to be like, who the fuck is that? Then there's too many people on the card. There's just too many people. This is not the way.
He's heating up.
This is not the way to build up this Forbidden Door pay-per-view. This Forbidden Door pay-per-view is not, let's get as many people on the card as possible. It's like New Japan needs to put their best foot forward, all their best guys in a bunch of one-on-one matches, maybe a triple threat match, maybe one multi-man match, tag team matches. It is not, let's have a bunch of fucking 4-on-4 matches and throw as many people on the card as possible. If it's successful, you try to make the first one successful, and you put your best foot forward with all your best guys. And then maybe, hopefully, the marks that aren't watching it will start watching it, and then they can discover guys like Umino, or they can discover guys like Desperado, or they can discover guys like El Phantasmo, or they can discover guys that aren't supposed to be your top 10, 12 guys. Umino, however you say it, he is not one of your best 15 guys. Why are you putting him on the show? Why is his name even being said on Dynamite? Why aren't you having Evil come over? Why aren't you having fucking Suzuki or Sonata coming over? And I don't even like those guys necessarily, but they are better, and they are better characters. They are better realized, and they are better known by the people in the crowd that will start. If you're standing next to somebody and they know Sonata, maybe you'll be like, oh, well, this guy knows Sonata. Maybe I'll start paying attention to this guy. They're not thinking that way at all. And this is not Tony Khan. Sorry, he is not selling this pay-per-view the right way, if you ask me. Tony Khan and New Japan are fucking this up.
Oof. Okay, that's a lot to unpack. I'll go just with bullet points, that things that I would like to, at least push back on. Sonata is one guy that you brought up. With Will Ospreay, we said Will Ospreay was the right guy to go over, but Sonata, you want Sonata on the card. I'll ask you this, Sonata, if he has a one-on-one match, who do you want Sonata to have the one-on-one match with?
Oh, I don't know. Fucking Phoenix? Penta? Pac?
Okay.
He could have great match. Buddy Matthews? I don't know. He could have a great match with all sorts of different dudes.
Okay. At least you have an answer. Fair enough. I'll move on to my next point.
I just went on a rant, so I will step back, but...
No, because I'm gonna have to ask you, to come in and come out for,
Are all those answers decent?
I don't have a problem with that. At least you have a answer to the question. It's just not, Sonata shouldn't be on the card, so who should he face? Well, I don't know. I have no problem with any of those guys you have come up with.
I mean, my answer is always going to be like Phoenix,
and that's
because I love Phoenix.
Penta,
or
Phoenix,
as they say, Phoenix.
Okay, either or is fine. If you look at AEW's booking, it's not like they don't do trios matches, 8-man tags, 10-man tags. They do that shit too. So let's not sit up here and act like it's all, and I said it first, it's not all New Japan. AEW does it too. So it's going to be a scenario where, you might not like this 8-man tag, or in the case of Anarchy in the Arena, I had no interest in it. And all of a sudden it broke out, and it was like, oh my God, it was one of the best matches I've seen.
You knew all the players, though.
If you're not going to be, okay, the niche market, that was the other thing I was going to talk about. Okay, so in a scenario where St. Louis kind of gave a good pop to Tanahashi, but I know who Tanahashi is. I've seen enough of his matches where I know his greatness. But if you've never, I met somebody that's never seen New Japan before. So this is somebody in a wrestling think tank when we were watching Double or Nothing. You've never seen who? You've never seen what? That to me blows my mind. Maybe I just had too much time on my hands. That's another story for another time. Okada gets a good pop. Tanahashi gets a good pop. I guess where you're worried about they're fucking it up, if you gave them, like, if WWE would do it, Tanahashi would have his own little, video segment. He's done this, he's done that. You've seen him, do these matches. Okada the same way. With Tony Khan, I think he just assumes that you know who Okada is, you know who Tanahashi is, you know who Desperado is, and you just need to keep. At that point, those who know. Those who don't know, that's, I think, where you're missing the boat a little bit.
Fair enough. I see your point, and I think it's a good point, and there's nothing I can say that shits on it. What I will say, though, is that if you're just Tony Khan, and all you're doing is trying to play to the crowd that's already there, right?
Yeah.
If you're still doing it wrong, because people like watching, crazy multi-man tag matches. Yes, they do. And it's great for the live crowd. But if you're trying to play the long game, which is, I want to build up New Japan so that New Japan and AEW can both feed off of each other, so that it is a rising tide that floats both boats, then what you want to do is you want to say, listen, I'm going to take my 10 best New Japan wrestlers, or the 10 best New Japan wrestlers, and I'm going to face these 10 best of my guys. And if there are guys that aren't in the pay, listen, there are people that aren't on pay-per-views all the time in AEW because they have a roster of 160 guys.
Ridiculous.
What you have to do is say, okay, well, I have Zack Sabre Jr. versus Daniel Bryan. You say, I want to have Sonata versus Phoenix. You say, I want to have Yano versus Danhausen, as your popcorn match.
Right.
Like, the point is to try to get more people to watch. This is why I say to my wife all the time, I hope she's not listening. She hasn't listened in about 215 episodes. When she gets mad about something little, I always say, if everything's a big deal, then nothing's a big deal.
Right.
And if every guy, if Jericho has to come out and announce Desperado and Umino, and he has to come out and be like, oh, fuck Wheeler Yuta and all this shit, I don't think Wheeler Yuta should be on the show either. It's like, if he has to come out and announce all these guys, it's going to be too much for people that have never seen New Japan, and it's not going to turn anybody on to New Japan. It's going to have that AEW watcher that's never watched New Japan be like, well, all those guys were New Japan. Instead of being like, whoa, well, I really liked Hiromu because he fought by himself and he had colored hair and he did a bunch of crazy shit and had a killer fucking 15-minute match with Penta.
It might not. I will concede on that because in the sense where if you just did a bunch of one-on-ones, it's easier for the emotional connection to have. I'll say this and we can move on if you like. To me, when you have the multi-man matches, even if somebody that you don't know, Shota Umino, does something great, and you're like, damn, okay, I like this kid. All from that point is you just have to kind of, do your research. And I think that's a lot of this is the fact that Tony Khan is catering to his audience. And I get that. He's not trying to, like you're saying, he's not trying to bring in everybody. And that's where I think a problem is. If you're going to make AEW anywhere close to where WWE is, he's not going to change his booking style, but how you present people, it should be different.
But to use the analogy of the Forbidden Door, right?
Right.
So let's say you kick over this Forbidden Door, which the Forbidden Door was initially coined by Tanahashi, I think.
Yep.
And he was talking about
coming over and
Japanese wrestling and American wrestling, because American wrestlers have always gone to Japan. And the reverse has barely ever happened. You can probably count on 5 fingers the Japanese wrestlers that have really made an impact.
Successful.
Like you can talk about
Great Buddha is the one.
You can talk about the Indeed guy from the Attitude Era, and I can't remember his name right now.
Oh shit.
Funaki,
yes.
You can talk about
Chop
him.
Off his pee-pee.
Right. He was, and Tajiri. Those guys were good, but
they made them WWE so stereotypical. They can't speak English.
Right.
We're chopping off pee-pees and shit like that. I'm just like, God damn.
Like, really, Asuka's probably the one in WWE that's made the most impact, just because she's held the heavyweight title. You know. But anyway, my point is, if you want to use the analogy of the Forbidden Door, then you have to let guys walk through it. If you try to let everybody through it, they're going to be shoulder to shoulder like a fucking Keystone Cops fucking parody, and they're going to be stuck in the door, and nobody's going to get through. That's my point. That was, I got to say, that was pretty eloquent.
No, it gave the visual, and I could get a giggle off that.
Thank you.
And I totally agree with you. It's just, it's a work in progress. I would be lying if I did not say that I'm giddy about just not even just Forbidden Door, but more so about what could be.
I don't want
because now it could actually happen.
I don't want you to get me wrong. I am so looking forward to this pay-per-view, and I am so looking forward to like 5 of the matches that will end up being on it. I would just have, if you're trying to build a New Japan brand to the American audience that is so ready to take it and so ready to love it, like AEW's crowd is,
right?
You're just giving them too much. It's just too much. You have to. You got Will Ospreay and Tanahashi on there for the last couple of weeks, and everybody is just getting to know those guys if they didn't know them before. They're like, oh, okay, well, okay. I know that Moxley has tons of respect for this guy, And that's going to stick with me in my brain. And
Let's go to YouTube and see what he can do.
And I just watched Will Ospreay and Dax Harwood have a banger of a television 13-minute match. And now Will Ospreay, I'm like, ooh, he comes out with a fur coat. This guy looks badass. You know what I mean? He's got a great look. He's a great professional wrestler.
Jesus,
and then you shove all these other guys into it. They're just not. It's just too much information.
It's what we said last week. It's the Tony Khan. We didn't start the fire kind of book, and you got your match, but now we're bringing all these 8 other guys in to set up other 3 matches.
Why I'm not trying to teach my 10-month-old daughter long division. I'm just being like 1, 2, 3,
baby steps.
1, 2, 3. It's
foundation.
Just like, so basically, I just called everybody that doesn't watch New Japan a fucking infant.
Not even that.
So next up, we had Miro versus Ethan Page. Right guy went over.
Did it?
Oh yeah. Are you fucking kidding
Miro?
me?
No.
Are you fucking kidding?
See, I thought you were going to be on my side on this one. Does Miro need the All Atlantic title?
Sure.
Why?
Put any title on him you want.
Wouldn't you want him to chase the world title? Is he not bigger than the
1, 2, 3?
No, the foundation's been set. He's been the TNT champ.
Yeah, but he's been gone for a while.
Wow.
He's been gone for 4 months.
Wow.
5 months.
Okay. The match itself I thought was good.
Listen, I'd rather him not lose to Ethan Page.
So, okay, so I guess here's my next. Okay, so here's my.
Dude's a buster.
Wow.
Dude kind of sucks.
Okay, just for the sake of expedition, I'll just say this. I disagree that Ethan Page sucks. I liked him in Impact as a singles guy. I think he's not getting enough chance on AEW as a singles guy, and this has been an opportunity to put him over Miro, who's pretty much bulletproof at this point as far as I'm concerned. A loss to Ethan Page wouldn't have been the end of the world.
It would not. Yeah, it would have been.
Okay.
I think it actually would have been. He needs.
Are you serious right now? You think a loss to Ethan Page would hurt Miro to where he couldn't challenge for the world title in a couple months, 6 months?
I don't know if it would have hurt Miro. It would have hurt me.
And ultimately, that's all that matters. Fair enough.
That's right. I'm the fan. I don't give a fuck about these people. I'm the fan.
Fair enough. Okay, that makes me feel better about my take.
I would have been pissed if he would have lost. I would have been pissed.
Okay.
And I get mad at Marks for getting pissed about stuff because it's like, oh, it's just wrestling. I would have been pissed.
I think it's a chance to make Miro a top-tier guy where you make Ethan Page the mid-card guy where I'm not saying he's going to be champion, but I mean, damn. Why'd you sign him if you're not going to do something? Anything with him.
I have 2 questions for you, but the second one depends on how you answer the first
one.
All right.
You fucked this up. We get the second question. Yes, sir.
Should Toni Storm have gone over Britt Baker?
Yes.
Then why did Britt Baker win the Owen? It's so stupid. She wins the Owen and then she starts losing?
Okay, here's the problem with that. Is that
I was hoping you were going to say yes. Ooh, I was hoping.
It's the makeup call. When Thunder Rosa should have won.
Should Toni Storm go over Thunder Rosa?
That's the bigger question.
Of course she should.
Thunder Rosa just got the title, man. I mean, damn.
Toni Storm.
I mean, damn. We just gonna piss on the Thunder Rosa story up to this point where she just had to.
Terrible promo.
Look. It wasn't even a promo.
She was only the people only got behind her because she was against Britt Baker, which goes back to what Stone Cold always says: can't have a great baby face without a great heel.
Okay, if you wanted to put in the kayfabe style portion of the program, all Thunder Rosa did was just make us even Steven. Marina Shafir attacked me post match. You came out, gave the save. All I'm doing now is taking, Jamie Hayter away, and now after the fact, You won the match clean, which you should, especially the fact you just lost to Britt Baker with some chicanery and fuckery. You won the second match clean. Obviously, we're getting Thunder Rosa versus Toni Storm. I'm just not, I wish they would have just given this Thunder Rosa reign more time before you put Toni Storm up in this bad boy, because now the loser is kind of a loser. Not going to say kind of a loser, but
you ever heard of a transitional champ?
Thunder Rosa should not be a transitional champion. Period.
Well,
Period.
Toni Storm should be champion.
Fine.
The match that we should be leading towards in the women's division AEW, the biggest match there should be, is Toni Storm versus Jade Cargill.
For the title.
Yeah. That's the match. That's the match that people want to see. Those are the two big... Listen, everybody's sick of Britt Baker.
But Britt Baker moves the needle, whether you like her or not. She's the one that moves the needle.
You don't think Toni Storm will move the needle? She moves... Oh, I'll be Zach here for a second. She moves my needle.
And I agree with that. I'll just say this. The Britt Baker story has been, well planned out. Thunder Rosa has not been that good. Jade has been good. It's been Britt Baker. It almost feels like it's either, Tony Khan has interest in you or he doesn't. If he doesn't have interest in you, then he'll manipulate the way to get to where the match he wants should be. I don't understand why Thunder Rosa hasn't gotten a better push. Toni Storm the same way. This match should feel bigger than what it is at Forbidden Door. It feels like it's just been kind of pushed together.
I'm telling you,
and
man,
now this is where we're going
because
to
of
be.
Thunder Rosa.
It's not.
She is.
She's what?
She doesn't have the charisma that a Britt Baker or a Toni Storm does. She might be able to go, but she doesn't feel like a champ.
Wow. Unbelievable. Okay.
Is that unbelievable?
Yes, very much so.
I don't know.
Very much so.
She comes on, and I'm like, it's like, Jesus Christ, we gotta sit through another one of these Thunder Rosa white meat babyface fucking promos.
A part of this problem is the
white queso babyface promos.
Look,
she's Mexican.
You had her against Nyla Rose. That's not a good build. You did Serena Deeb. The match was good. That's not a good build. Thunder Rosa's strength is not talking. It's in the ring. You got to figure out, as Tony Khan, what's the best way you can make a Thunder Rosa / Toni Storm match better. Go ahead, Horshack.
I got an idea. If she's not good in the mic, but she's good in the ring, why don't you put her in the ring and stop putting her on the mic? How about that? Let me book the territory.
Kind of what they're doing now.
With Thunder Rosa?
Yeah.
All she does is come out and cut a promo with Tony Schiavone.
She didn't come out on Dynamite on Wednesday.
No, she came out and just held up her belt.
It's what it's all about, man. Damn.
And then the other two chicks in the ring held up their belts, and then everybody in the crowd held up their belts. And Excalibur holds up his belt, and he's like, I'm the EWE champion. And then JR holds up his belt, and
the Oklahoma champion.
His pants fall down because it's his actual belt. So then we have Adam Page comes out, cuts a promo. Adam Cole.
Baby.
Man,
yeah,
I'm full of hot takes tonight.
Go ahead.
Kind of getting sick of Adam Cole. I did not want to see him come out. You know who should be in this match? If they're going to make it a triple threat, it should be Moxley. It should be Page, Moxley, Jay White. Now, that would be a match. Page, Adam Cole, and White? Fuck. I don't know.
Okay, so let's get this straight.
Yes.
So Jon Moxley has called out Tanahashi for the better part of 2 years. But we're going to pull Wardlow.
No, I'm just saying in a vacuum. If this match would feel bigger to me if it was Adam Page versus Jay White versus Jon Moxley than if it was and have Adam Cole baby fight Tanahashi. I understand the build and everything. I'm just telling you, for that match, if that's going to be a triple threat, I would rather have Moxley in it than Cole, because otherwise it's Page and Cole have very similar styles. Their first name is Adam. They're both short. They both have blonde hair. Their first name is Adam.
Oh, my God.
They're both short. They both have blonde hair.
That's
Their
it?
first name is Adam.
Okay.
They're just very similar. So you got to throw in something different there. I don't care if it was Eddie fucking Kingston. Throw fucking Phoenix in there. I don't care. This match is a disappointment to me.
Oof.
I don't know. I don't know. I did not intend to come in here so negative.
I mean, you coming in hot. I don't necessarily have a problem with that. I mean, if you're going to make Jay
I got to
White,
be true to myself, though.
and I'll expect more. I would be pissed if you weren't. If you want to make Jay White you said that this was probably a Jay White recall from him not being able to be the champion before the pandemic. You want to make Jay White strong. At some point, Jay White and Okada are going to have to cross paths again. We don't have the blocks coming out for the G1, but at some point, I would assume they're going to cross paths. You want to make Jay White strong as humanly possible. You got intrigue within Bullet Club and the Undisputed Elite. Basically the same thing, but not the same thing. Two heels. And Adam Page, who is the guy that just lost the AEW championship, that came out and was like, I don't have a championship match to go in. I was just a champ, and now I'm not even on the card. It kind of makes sense. Yes. I'm not saying it's the best match we're going to get, but it kind of makes sense. For me, all I ask is connect the dots. And for me, if you did this triple threat, it connects the dots. Okada is the only problem with this. If Okada comes over, a lot of this shit goes away. Because now you get the singles matches you want.
Man, I think that's the point. Like,
I don't think that's the point.
Well, I mean, no. Well, I was just saying that you made a really good point, but you don't think it was a good point?
No, I'm just saying
you should believe in yourself. A little bit more confidence.
Yeah, like I lack in confidence.
Yeah, I know. I played softball with you. And so in the main event, we have the Young Bucks versus Jurassic Express. The Hardys were supposed to be in this. They were taken out for reasons that we covered in the one count. But this was the match that you expected it to be. It was a spot fest. It was
when
fucking
I saw all the
Luchasaurus going through 4 tables at once.
I'm like, I see all these tables out there. And it's
Excalibur goes, there goes the double decker.
I'm like, Jesus Christ.
Nah, it was good. It was fun. It was everything that I wanted.
It was a spot fest. It was everything I wanted. The team that I thought was
Crowd
going
was
over.
hot.
Yeah, the team that I thought was going over went over. The only 2 problems with this is, number one, when you saw the tables out there and it's a ladder match, it's going to be a bunch of spots going to happen.
That's not a bad thing.
It's not a bad thing. Number 2, I think they kind of, if you know wrestling like you should, if you watch this or listen to this podcast, when they put out Jungle Boy's mom and his sister at ringside.
See, I guess I missed that part.
Okay. When I don't even think it was before.
They should have been banned from.
This is banned from ringside.
In that scenario, they should have been away from the ring, so it at least gives us a little more suspension of disbelief.
So you jumped ahead a little bit. It was a great match. Everybody liked it. Christian turns heel on Jungle Boy at the end.
To me, it's one of the two big things.
It's been being, well, of course, it's been being teased for a while.
Yes,
rightfully so. I think the right amount of tease. I understand that people want it to last shorter, but I don't mind. I don't mind it happening for 6 weeks or however long it's been happening. It's been happening for a while.
Okay,
I don't mind that.
But I guess that's kind of my point with Tony Khan to begin with his booking style. Some booking is like, we didn't start the fire and we're doing a bunch of shit at once.
Such a great analogy.
And then it really is. It really is. And then other shit, it's like it's an epic story, and he does it the way that wrestling marks like you and I want to see.
I think some of it depends on, okay, well, what happened this last week? Well, we can't have these 2 big things happen at the same time, even though he stacked the Adam Cole and Daniel Bryan debuts right on top of each other, which is, I mean,
no fucks given.
There will be A&E documentaries about it someday. They will talk about it.
Why? Because I can.
It's crazy booking. Honestly,
it's a lot at some points.
Maybe some week he was like, well, we can't have Christian turn this week because I want it to be a big deal. I want it to be at the end of at the end of a show, so it's the last thing that everybody remembers, and I don't want to overshadow something else, even though he doesn't mind overshadowing the Young Bucks taking the tag titles with the Christian heel turn, because now the Young Bucks have the tag titles,
right?
Which is
it's the first 2-time champions in AEW,
yeah, and it makes sense. It's not a bad title change. In fact, it's the right title change.
It probably is, especially going in the Forbidden Door.
Yes, yeah.
Now you once again you have options. FTRs on the table. Briscoes are on the table.
Let's see Bucks versus Khan on the Cobb. Let's see Bucks versus Khan on the Cobb. Let's see fucking Jeff Cobb do a double tour of the island. Just stack those Jacksons on top of him. Just fucking
dude. Okay, that's
what I want to see.
Okay, Bucks being the champs.
I just love Jeff Cobb and I love the Bucks, and I would like to see them in a match
Bucks
together.
Being the champs makes total sense at this point because it achieves two things. You get the right team on the Forbidden Door the first time. You want to have your right best guys stepping forward. Bucks are that team. Number two, you now have gotten us to where Christian is finally flipped on Jungle Boy.
All right, so when did 90210 play in the States? Was like 90 to 97 or something like that? It was something like that. It started like 89, 90.
Yeah, I was in high school, basically.
Da-na-na-na, da-na-na-na, ta-ta. So, do you think, I mean, Christian was, let's say Christian was born in 70, so he was probably watching 90210 when he was 20, 21. It was a phenomenon. It's hard for kids to remember that back in those days,
if you didn't know,
not everybody had cable, right. And if you didn't have cable, you only had 4 channels. Yeah. So you could only watch 90210.
Melrose Place came after that.
Or you could watch like 90210, you could watch like Just Shoot Me, you could watch Murphy Brown, or you could watch That's Incredible on 30. And you ended up watching 90210. It's hard for people that didn't live through that time to know that that's what TV used to be like. But everybody watched 90210. My point is here is that Christian watched 90210. Do you think he ever looked at Dylan, who was Luke Perry, Luke Perry as being Jungle Jack Perry's dad, Jungle Boy's dad? You think he ever looked at him and was like, can't wait to turn heel on that guy's kid.
Okay,
man.
I'm gonna take this.
What an insane world! And then turn to Luke Perry's widow and say, "You raised a piece of shit."
Okay. I'm like, damn.
There's nothing like wrestling. There's nothing like wrestling.
The concerto, I was like, okay, we can go off the air with that, but no.
You raised a piece of shit. He yelled at Luke Perry's widow.
That's where, as much as I run down Tony Khan for the last 20 minutes, he does it right. He just needs to be consistent about this shit, for Christ's sake.
Listen, I've been bitching for the last hour, but the good outweighs the bad, for sure. For sure.
Don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. There was a lot more good than bad. It was just like when the bad happened, it was bad in clumps. When the good happened, it was good in clumps.
I criticize out of love. So that's going to do it for our 3 counts.
1, 2, 3.
So we were talking about G1 coming up. So just some relevant information for those who are New Japan fans like myself and Bill, Zach, Brett. Shout out to Brett for...
I don't know what you're about to say, so talk to me. Fuck those guys.
Look.
Okay, I'm listening.
We were talking about the G1 and when it's going to happen, who's in it. So I just Googled it. So let's talk about it for 30 seconds. So the G1 for this year is going to start.
This is a real role reversal. I like that you're asking me.
It's weird to me, too. Trust me.
Take it away, Doug Williams.
So the G1.
How long have you been a black host?
Maybe like 2 or 3 weeks, give or take, every year. G1 starts on the 16th of July, going through the 18th of August of obviously this year.
Hell yeah.
The biggest thing I take away from the G1 is they're going to do 4 blocks of 7 versus the usual 2 blocks of 10.
What?
What? So it's going to be, in theory, the biggest, quote-unquote...
And everybody gets a bye?
I'm not... As far as I'm concerned, they haven't broke down how they're going to do it. The way I'm figuring it is everybody wrestles everybody in their block. the way they announced it. Everybody wrestles everybody in their block. The winner of the A block and the B block meet each other in the semifinals. C block and D block meet each other in the semifinals, and the winners meet in the finals. And then you have the eventual G1 champion.
Okay. 4 blocks fucks me up, though.
It's 7 matches. I don't think it's going to be that big a deal. In no particular order, your entrance for this year's G1: Okada, Tanahashi, Naito, Goto, Tamatonga, Shingo, Chase Owens, Bagwell Fale, Yujiro Takahashi, Evil, Tom Lawler from MLW and New Japan Strong. If you watch either or, that was a little surprise to me. Juice Robinson, Jonah from, once again, New Japan Strong and Impact Wrestling. You have Yoshi Takahashi, your boy Yano. Fuck that nigga.
Put him in every block.
Ishii, Jeff Cobb, Great O'Khan, Aaron Henare, Will Ospreay, Sonata, Jay White, Kenta, El Phantasmo, which was a kind of surprise, especially being a junior. He's in the G1 now. Tanahashi, Zack Sabre Jr., Lance Archer, and David Finlay was the last of a surprise. A little bit of a surprise to me in the sense.
Who were the last 3?
Zack Sabre Jr., Lance Archer.
So Hiromu's not in it?
Hiromu is not in it. He's got a match with...
so Phantasmo's in it, and...
But Hiromu's not.
Hiromu should be in it.
Okay, so...
He's the most exciting guy on their fucking roster.
Okay, so...
the most exciting guys on the roster are Ospreay and Hiromu. Okay,
so riddle me this, Batman. If you have Hiromu and Ishimori wrestling for the Junior Championship, if Hiromu wins, you're going to have him in the G1?
Yeah, why can't the light or
you can?
Why can't the junior heavyweight?
I would just think that's going to be a lot of, I guess,
or fucking
extra
put
matches.
it on Ishimori then.
Okay,
put it on Ishimori and put Hiromu in the fucking G1. I would rather have Hiromu in the G1 than Hiromu
over. Okay, so Finlay, El Phantasmo,
not El Phantasmo, not Finlay.
Tom Lawler.
Not Tom Lawler.
Jonah.
Not Jonah. No. I like both those dudes. I'd probably get rid of... Did you say Bad Luck Fale?
Yes.
Well, yeah. I'd get rid of Bad Luck Fale.
But, okay, so
Is Jeff Cobb? Yo, you said Jeff Cobb.
Yeah, for sure. I think he's going to be, one of the guys, at least in the semifinals.
He's going to be a player, yes.
Yeah, I think he's at least in the semifinals. Okay, now that being said...
Henare? I'd rather have Hiromu in than Henare. And you would, too.
Okay, but then... Look, I'm not saying that you.
Let's face it. I'd rather
how
have
do you book him at that point. That's my. I guess there was the next question.
What I'm saying is that I'd rather watch a Hiromu match against player X than almost anybody else in the tournament except for Okada and Sabre Jr. and Ospreay.
Him versus Suzuki in the New Japan Cup was great. I get where you're going with this. I think
him versus fucking Desperado last week was great.
Juniors versus juniors. I'm trying to make this where it's like the New Japan Cup was, where you have juniors versus heavyweights.
Okay, well, I'm going to say this then. The weight thing does not matter in wrestling. I know they try to make it, but what you have to do is just put Hiromu in the fucking G1 because it's going to rule.
I think it's going to happen. I just don't think it happens right now. I think there's a lot of different, oars in the water, so to speak, fishes in the water, whatever you want to call it. Okay, they got a lot of shit going on. And this is just on the New Japan side. Kojima won the Noah Openweight, not the Noah Openweight Championship. He won their GHC Heavyweight Championship. So you have a non-contracted Noah guy in Kojima, somebody that I thought is after Tanahashi, after Jon Moxley, Kojima is one of the guys that I think should get some credit for this Forbidden Door experiment. He's a non-contracted Noah guy that's won their title.
Who are you picking?
Jesus Christ.
Just one word.
I don't know.
I think it's Sabre Jr.'s time.
Jeff Cobb.
I'll take Sabre Jr.
Fine.
Couple guys in.
This is banned from ringside.
Riddle has a championship match
On Friday,
tomorrow
baby.
night against Roman Reigns, which seems a little quick, but I'm here for it.
Yeah.
I want them
to see what happens.
Yeah, I want to see title matches on regular TV too.
Yeah, I think it shouldn't necessarily always be on premium live events. Let's see what I did there.
So if Riddle loses, he can never face Reigns again during this championship. He can't rematch.
And it's totally fine. Reigns, let's just say for the sake of argument,
Do you think this is where Orton comes back?
No. Honestly, I think Riddle loses, and it's okay.
You think Riddle loses clean?
I'm not saying he loses clean, but he's going to lose. And then you can have Reigns.
He's going to lose, yes.
You can have Reigns do his thing. You can have Riddle do his thing. That's the thing with Randy Orton.
You don't think Orton comes back and RKO's
screws Riddle?
Or there's just shenanigans with
Usos,
the bloodline. And Orton comes out and RKO's everybody. You know. I'm just saying. I would look for Orton. I think that we're getting worked on this Orton injury. We're getting worked on it.
Obviously, this is not a real deal. I'd say it's going to still drag out a little longer.
But there's people that are leaking to the wrestling journalists.
Right.
There are people that are leaking that it's an actual thing. That is back.
It's a bacchiotomy.
We can say whatever we want now. Nobody's listening anymore.
You'd be surprised who's listening.
This is banned from ringside.
All right, that's
birthdays.
That's all I want to talk about. We got birthdays this week. We have the Ultimate Warrior, R.I.P. Would have been 69. The Sandman,
still alive.
59.
One of the great.
No, I said Warrior would have been 69. 63. What did I say there?
You said 69.
Yeah, 63. Sandman is 59.
One of the great entrances in wrestling history.
What's this guy's name? Razor. You remember him?
If it's Razor Ramon, yeah.
No. Razor.
Kind of, sort of, maybe. WWE guy, yeah. One of the bad gimmicks in the.
Authors of Pain.
Oh, that guy.
Yeah.
I do remember that guy.
Ackerman Razor. He's 28 this week. Still alive.
He's 28?
28, yeah.
Jesus.
I got one for you. Jungle Boy. Has a birthday this week. How old do you think he is?
I think they said 23 on the...
He's 25. He'll be 25 this week. Minoru Suzuki on the other end. How old do you think he is?
He's older than me, thank God. I'm going to take my age and add 55.
Close, 54. Bruiser Brody.
R.I.P.
Would have been 76. Coco Beware.
I think it's R.I.P.
Yeah.
Okay, thank
65.
God.
Do you remember the name of Coco Beware's parent?
Oh, shit.
I shouldn't have asked this. I don't know the answer. Isn't it Matilda?
No. It might be.
Isn't it Matilda?
It might be.
God damn. I should look it up.
Yeah. See, you should have this answer to make me look bad.
Oh, well, I thought that you would know, dude.
Dude,
Coco.
that's a little...
Beware.
Parrot.
Bird.
Wow, that's...
Frankie.
Yeah, that totally sounds right.
Okay.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And Canadian Earthquake. The Earthquake.
I'm sure he's R.I.P. at this point.
He's got to be, man. The guy was big.
Okay.
He would have been 59.
God bless him.
This is banned from ringside.
Jason's got something to say?
Just a quick go-home thought. I miss MJF. I'm going to say this, and I'm not going to discount Wardlow by any point, but MJF is missed. And I know this AEW roster, and I've said it multiple times, it's bloated to the point where you probably don't need anybody else to come in, especially on the men's side. But MJF is missed. And I think, honestly, he's the straw that stirs the drink. He makes all things happen. And there's a lot of storylines that have MJF in it. Not saying he needs to be the champ, but at some point I'd like to see him come back.
And that was JCB's finisher.
That ain't my finisher. I'm jumping off some shit. Are you kidding me?
Rabbit fever, middle of the night.
Hey, Jason, I had fun.
I'm a believer.
I'll miss you, Zach, but
Good pod.
not so much.
I missed you 2 beer. 4 2 beer, Zach. 4 Murray,
Check.
Man Murray. 4
Check.
Patriot Pat.
Check.
4 Tender Mahal.
Check.
For wrestling at the Grandel.
Check.
Let's see. 4 Reba the Dog. Who else am I missing? Am I missing anybody for Vice?
Check.
Oh,
Yeah,
how could
double
I
check.
forget Vice?
Double check.
Yeah.
Your wife, your child.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. Them too. Yeah.
Check.
Everybody. Black Lives Matter. Sports a local weed
Check.
dealer. Boo the Heels.
Woo!